I am very sensitive to outsiders coming into our region and telling our stories on our behalf.
Yeah.
And heavily funded outsiders doing so.
Yeah.
I think I come across as a little bit unhinged, but I'm actually very routine based. Otherwise, I mentally unravel. I don't know what my kids.
It doesn't matter. That the fantasy doesn't include all that. Hi, I'm Malak Fuad, and welcome again to What I Did Next Encore, where I check in with some of your favorite alumni guests. Today, I'm reconnecting with Amy Mowafi, who has become a media powerhouse in Egypt, running a hugely successful digital media agency. Alongside that, Amy can be found leading and participating in various must-attend events across Egypt as both a speaker and a moderator. I think her first and true love is writing, and today she seems to be quietly reincorporating this into her world with her Substack page. When I first spoke to Amy in 2022, Mo4 were on the verge of launching a new e-commerce concept called Bottit.
With Bottit, it's a it's run by a whole different part of the company. Funded by essentially by us, by the Mo4 incubator. And so it was just it's a very different new type of play for me to kind of step in and go, what's going on? So before last Ramadan 2023, I went and I was like, enough. I don't care where we're at. I don't care how ready we are. You can just keep tweaking and playing at this thing. Because of course we're building it in-house, the tech as well. We're launching whatever happens. And that's the only way we're going to learn.
And that's the only way you'll fine-tune it as well.
Exactly. We just had to go for it. And so we just went for it. We went out into the market. As expected, it was a shit show, but it's been amazing. It had to be, but it's amazing how much it's achieved in a year. It's now consistently one of the top shopping apps in Egypt on the App Store, which is incredible.
But you were saying that you were not involved. Are you now more involved in it?
First, BB, kind of the first year after launch, as they kind of worked through all of the tech issues and figured that out, I kind of left them to it. And then once I felt that the product was stable enough, I've gone in and really focused in the last probably 6 months on 2 things now, on operations, customer service, and really, I didn't want to push too hard on the marketing if we weren't going to be able to deliver on our promise, especially because we have this insane promise of instant or same day. Which again, I mean, even Amazon doesn't do that in Egypt.
Sure. But so basically, you are once it's ready to go mass, you're going to then hit the marketing button. You're not there yet.
Obviously, the marketing has to be very much in parallel with what we're capable of operationally and technically.
Sure.
And also the learning process, right? And so I think we're at about 50% of what we can do in terms of pushing this app out, but to already be constantly hitting one of the top e-commerce sites in Egypt without even deploying our full power. It's just, we're just so excited about it. We're so excited about the potential. And we really believe that we are capable of and have started to revolutionize the shopping experience in Egypt. It is an amazing thing to sit at home and to be able to buy a cool outfit for tonight, pet food, do your grocery shopping for Gourmet, which is on the app, get a new plant for the house and get it all delivered immediately at the same time. Absolutely. Who else has that promise?
It's a game changer. Is that for you, when you look at your professional life in the last couple of years, would you consider that to be like your biggest achievement?
Oh, absolutely not. That's So, Malak, I think we spoke about this before. I'm not an entrepreneur. And so I'm not the person who's like, oh, look, I found this great product market fit and now I'm going to scale it and exit. I'm doing this because I understand I'm doing this at the end of the day because there is a gap in the market which we can exploit essentially using skill sets that we already have. And it's a great potential scalable product. We don't have a scalable product as a media ecosystem. And so I'm doing it from a very practical perspective of create a scalable product to, financial stability, especially with everything that's going on in the market. However, what I've been most excited about in the last, couple of years since we last spoke is expanding our media portfolio regionally. We launched See Now. I don't think we had See Now Saudi when we last spoke.
You were working on that at the time, and I know that you've been back and forth a lot to Saudi in the last couple of years. So tell me about that.
So we launched See Now Saudi, which is, again, we were built to tell the stories of the people, places, and movements shaping the region today. And for me, what's happening in Saudi, people have a lot of, contentious opinions, but the reality is, what an incredible, fascinating story, right?
It is. It is
and
amazing.
I was having this debate with someone, in my kitchen over breakfast the other day, and their argument was, yes, but is there objective correct? That's not that's not my garden.
Yeah,
That's not my
yeah.
weeds.
And
Whatever their
that's coming
objective.
from a place of negativity anyway, because we know where that
Anyway,
origin question is from. Yeah, yeah.
exactly. But
But you can't
not my
deny
issue.
the momentum that's happening there. You just can't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, they have decided, for better or worse, this is a nation that has decided that quite literally overnight, they want to change people's perspective about who and what they are. Again,
Absolutely.
the debate of whether they should is entirely beside the point.
Yeah.
Me as a storyteller, to see people do that using the power of their people's stories, it's a fascinating thing. And I just felt that there were these incredible, inspirational, fascinating stories on a people level that we have a unique ability to tell in an engaging way. And so we were just very excited to go in there and help tell those stories to the world.
And so you now have a presence there?
Yes.
Are you Riyadh based or Jeddah based?
So we're between. So we're the kitchen remains Cairo as always.
Okay.
The kitchen is Cairo, and then we're there. We're there. My teams are there, telling all of the stories that matter. Whether it's
when
big
there's an event or
documentaries,
something.
features. So a lot of interview stories, a lot of feature stories. We're also we're moving towards a non-political, just like Cairo news platform. It affects everything. Do you know what I mean? The region, how the region functions, and the way that the region owns its narrative and owns its stories. We all have this effect on each other, right? And so I think it's
100%. I mean, it can only be a positive, and this is something that I've been talking a lot about on my show since we met, actually, because I'm also focusing very heavily on the region, much more than on Egypt. I mean, I began, low-hanging fruit with people local to me and, friends and family and so on. But now not only is the action in the Gulf area, Saudi, UAE, and so on, but the incredible stories, as you said, are coming from that region, and the momentum, the forward push to change is coming from there. It's really nice to be hearing stories of positivity, because where we are living, we don't have that right now. There's a lot of negativity around us, whether it's geopolitical, economic, and to see this other facet of our region, I think is super exciting.
I was fascinated the other day. I was listening to a podcast. It was the Prof G. It was the Prof G podcast.
Yeah.
And you know how, I don't know if you listen to Scott Galloway, and you know how he has his producers also speaking on the mic. And it was a whole episode, or part of the episode at the end, was about how there are so many millionaires and billionaires moving into the Emirates, right? And then it was fascinating to me because the producer was chipping in, saying the most horrifying statements about about his perceptions about just people in the region, and the culture of the region. And you think, well, this is someone who is incredibly highly educated, not Scott Galloway, his producer, someone who's incredibly highly educated with a huge platform, and still to this day he carries these deep-rooted misperceptions. And there's no way, there is nothing to counteract this apart from stories and people like you getting people who of impact, telling their stories, and what we're doing in Egypt, what Saudi's doing with their stories. So budget is there.
It's super
side,
important, Amy. Yeah. No, I mean, and what you're saying is super important. I just came back from Dubai. I was invited onto a podcast by a Saudi guy who was a guest on my show called Hatem Al-Akil. And it was actually very different to what I do. So it was a panel. And I had Becky Anderson on the show. So I got her on the show with us. And we had Faisal Abbas, who, as you know, with your Saudi connection now, is the editor-in-chief of Arab News. So it was me and Becky and Faisal in a panel with Hatem asking us questions about the Arab voice. What is Arab media today? How has it changed? And all of us, even Becky, the Western voice, if you like, was like, the region is empowered to tell their own stories, finally. And we are doing that.
Finally.
So, I don't want to linger on that too much, but it's really, I feel that there's finally a push for all of us to no longer need the okay of others to tell us how to do things. Khalas, it's over. We know what we want to do. We know what the stories are, and we know what people want to hear. So khalas, Yeah.
Yeah.
In the last couple of years, what have been the challenges that you've faced? regardless of which area of the business or even personal, what has been challenging for you in the last couple of years?
So I don't know if it's been a challenge, but it's been my real focus in order to figure out how to do this. And, and I had been leading up to this for a few years, and it was really about kind of taking stock. We launched More in 2012. So it's been about 12 years now.
Yeah.
We launched it from, and as I said, we launched it from scratch, zero outside investment, long before, there was a mentorship ecosystem, nothing. And so every single thing was very, very hard, learned the hard way and hard won. And so maybe I should have come to these conclusions or figured this out earlier, but this is my journey. And it was just about the last couple of years, it's really about how do I ensure this entire organization is entirely self-sufficient, self-operating? How do I create a sustainable, a really powerful senior leadership team? And which enables me, and so especially in the last year and a half, it's just been this extraordinary thing where I've been able to really focus on the bigger picture and focus on the sexy plays and focus on what it is that we stand for and why and what we hope to achieve in the future. And also just focus on myself and my kids and my family some more in a way that I was never able to before. So this was a big thing in the last couple of years. I think we kind of hit that decade mark. Actually, exactly when we did this thing, we hit that decade mark. And I was like, "Khalas, that's it."
I feel that you've always been very big picture minded, actually, and looking to like the phases you need to do, right?
Yeah. Because it's important. Because this isn't just a business to me. I really believe in these stories that we tell, and I really believe in the legacy and the impact of it. And I want to make sure that we have the ability to continue to tell it. And it's interesting that because it's in the last, in the 2 years since we spoke, Malak, there's been extraordinary shift in the media space in the Middle East. Big global brands have come in, big publication brands, big lifestyle brands within the media space that did not exist before in the Middle East. And which is incredible because obviously the more the merrier, and it all helps to tell our stories. But from a business perspective, it then, it behooves us to be even more aggressive in ensuring that we maintain our impact.
There's more competition.
Yeah.
I noticed in the last couple of years or 18 months, you as a person, you've been much more visible on the media stage, right? You're doing events, you're speaking a lot more in public. You obviously, that's a conscious move. Maybe this is part of your stepping back from the doing more in terms of big picture. Yeah. What is the rationale for that? What are you wanting to achieve with that?
You know what it is, Malak? I am very sensitive to outsiders coming into our region and telling our stories on our behalf.
Yeah.
And heavily funded outsiders doing so.
Yeah.
But what happens is they come in, and because they have these great infrastructures and this funding, they have the privilege of having the time and focus to be very vocal about what they're doing. And I felt it was going to start to put us at a disadvantage if someone wasn't out there going, "We know our shit."
Right? Yeah.
We were pioneers in this space. We continue, I think, to be amongst the most innovative regionally. And I had missed the number one thing that I advise everyone who I speak to who is in this space is that, especially in media, the story of the people behind the stories is just as important.
You keep telling me that. You keep telling me that for me. For me, and I'm just like, I'm resisting, but I think I'm going to have to jump in now.
Right? Humans connect to humans, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going out there now, and I'm very vocal myself, talking about things that we've done for a long time. And it's amazing. People go, "Oh, I didn't realize." I'm like, okay, well, also for me, because I want to be able to, again, it's about thinking about what are my next steps, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so what are my next steps in terms of my own brand positioning and in terms of, we said this again in 2002, again, I want to be able to go back to myself as a storyteller.
And positioning yourself for your next phase as a thought leader, whether it's through writing, through speaking engagements, then that's your next phase, right? That's what you're building the blocks for that now. Yeah.
Exactly.
I want to ask you, I don't think we covered this the first time we chatted. Do you have someone that you look up to, a role model or a mentor, that it doesn't have to be someone within your field? It could be someone, a relative, a teacher that you look up to and think, I like how they've lived their life. I like their values. I would like to emulate part of how they live. Is there someone like that for you?
there's so many people I'm inspired by. There's so many people who will say something. I'm like, wow, that's like. There's so many. I'm very. You know what it is? I think because I'm so. I love. I'm obsessed with information, and I'm obsessed with stories, and I'm constantly like intentionally learning and absorbing, and so I just find myself like my the things that I'm inspired by, or the people that I'm inspired by, becomes very fractured. It's kind of,
Or they change with
or they
time,
change.
right?
Yeah, and also I know, and I don't know, and I also was having this debate with someone, and I don't know if it's a moral weakness in me, or haven't figured that out. But I'm also, when it comes to people I'm impressed and inspired by, I don't have that kind of black and white where if they have one opinion that doesn't sit well with me, I can't respect a different side of their personality or their opinion.
Yeah.
I'm the same way with friends. You know what I mean? I'm like, and I'm shagawizhum. You know what I mean? They're not my children.
That's already taken. That's done.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to marry them. They're not my children. Like, I'm not accountable
Yeah.
I'm not accountable to their journeys in any way whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, Anna Meli, right? I can sit here in this space with you and be profoundly inspired and impressed by this thing and not have anything to do with those other parts of you that don't sit well with me. And I think it's the same for me, why I find it so hard to be like, okay, well, this is someone who I'm a role model, I'm mentored to. It's just so diverse for me. But I think it's very difficult for me to go, okay, well, that person. And in terms of my backbone, and I think my backbone and all of this stuff, it's always been family. It's always been my parents, my siblings, my family.
Well, command family is also work because you're all together. So,
Yes.
it's all connected.
Yes.
If you were to pick a profession other than what you're doing, what would it be? Does it come to you quickly? Because I know for me what it would be.
Well, what would it be for you?
So if I was to redo my life and start, like if I was at college and thinking, what do I want to be? I would actually maybe choose the law. I would actually consider being a lawyer. Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm fascinated by it. Yeah.
And was that in your head early on and then put it aside?
No, not at all. But now with hindsight, when I look back and I think, this is really interesting because I like to study. I'm a bit nerdy. And so I kind of like the idea of, sitting in a law library and learning all this, law stuff, legal stuff.
Wow.
Isn't it? It's completely different to my life, Yani.
I love that for you, Malak. It's like a Kim Kardashian move, Malak.
What would you pick?
Can I tell you that I did PhD studies A-level.
Oh, nice.
And I was really into like acting, and then I remember even when I moved to Egypt in 2002, I did a bunch of like plays and stuff, and we got in like awards for some stuff, and then I just totally put that on the back burner.
Amazing.
And then the other day I was in this, I always say no to this stuff, but part of like the conversation that we're having about putting myself forward more, I agreed to do this ad for West.
Sometimes the less walls, the better, because groundbreaking ideas are meant to be shared. And winning is easier when you're surrounded by the right people in the right place.
It's brilliant. Yeah, well, your exhibitionist side is coming out.
I know.
I love it.
And I know all the producers in Egypt. I should just call them up and be like, hey, hook a girl up.
Yeah, no, I want to be an extra in your movie.
I'm ready. Yeah.
I've asked this question in this new round of like what I call the alumni segment, where I go back and talk to my favorite guests. And I'm asking everyone, what is a typical day like for you? And of course, there's no such thing, but give me like an idea. I know you live far from the center of Cairo.
I think I come across as a little bit unhinged, but I'm actually very routine based. Otherwise, I mentally unravel. I know. And so I wake up really, really early. I'm relatively early. So I'll wake up around 6:30. I'm with the kids, although again, full credit where it's due. My husband fully does that. It's fully the one dealing with the yelling and the screaming and the dramas of the morning.
Lucky you.
I know.
Lucky you.
Alhamdulillah.
I'm unhinged because of that.
Because of that bit. Yeah.
I went through a decade of that, and I'm unhinged because of it.
I'm sure. So alhamdulillah. and I've told you this before, which is why I'm always very sensitive when people do this whole, oh, woman, mom, not doing it all. I'm really not. I'm really not.
You
My
can't. I don't
husband is
believe you
doing.
can.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
You just can't.
It has to be just good enough. That's the way to go.
It just has to be good enough. And so, and alhamdulillah, it's better than that because, my husband, they have a full-time parent, my husband, which is amazing.
Amazing.
And so I hit the gym by 7 a.m. So I'll listen to either a Tim Ferriss or a Lex Freeman or a Prof G or one of those.
Yeah.
Sometimes they make me very angry, but I listen anyway. I love Business Wars on Wondery.
It's great. Yeah, I listen to that.
Right?
Yeah.
But the problem is you're supposed to be trying to control your breathing and your heart rate, but it's so dramatized. Like I find I'm like, what is going to happen to the Jeep in the story? And then I've been listening to the CNN Fox one recently, and of course in my mind, I'm like, this is my story. Like,
yeah. It's a great series.
So I'll do podcasts, and then I'll do music for if I'm doing if I'm running or whatever,
cardio,
and then cardio, and then I will always have So Dina Shaban, who's obviously a fitness guru, always calls me out for this, but I will religiously have 2 boiled eggs for breakfast with my coffee after my workout.
Why is that wrong?
She goes, you can't do this every day, especially at my age with the hormones.
Too many eggs. That's another conversation. We'll talk. Dina is a guru. I absolutely adore her.
She's amazing. And she's really into kind of understanding what we need as women.
Yeah,
especially at a certain age. Yeah. And so I had always done this very kind of high intensity working out, which is great mentally, anymore. But it needs something else. And my knees and my
yeah, I know. It's a shwaya al menopause.
No, I mean, I'm
feeling
telling you, Malak, I keep telling Dina, I'm like, Dina, wallahi, I'm going through premenopause.
I don't think we want to have that on record, right?
I don't. By the way, Bilaks, Malak, can I tell you what? Wallahi, Bilaks, because
actually the menopause stuff is seriously important.
It's so important, and as you know, there just isn't even. I'm not globally. There is so little around women's health.
That's right.
And it's wild when just this year they go, oh, by the way, tampons might be toxic. I'm like, what?
30 years after we've all been using them, right?
Oh, they'll be like, oh, we just did this research on I don't know what happens when you're pregnant with the baby. I'm like, if men were getting pregnant, we'd have known this shit a century ago.
Absolutely.
It's wild.
It's wild. It's all wild. Yeah.
So because I really feel like we need to be having these conversations.
No, and then,
otherwise you think you're going mad. Otherwise.
I know. I mean, I've had so many health problems over the years and so many operations that if I was to sit here and tell you about them, I mean, I'm actually a case study in a hospital in London. That's another conversation. But every now and again, I just stop and think, oh my God, after all that I've been through, so alhamdulillah, we're still standing and laughing.
I think you should do a spin-off podcast, Malak, just about menopause.
We're going to wrap up with a really fun thing. Okay. So it's a quick fire round.
Okay.
And I don't want you to think about it too carefully. I just want to say what comes to mind.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Big picture or detail-oriented?
Both. I'm not allowed.
Pick.
Is this what I am or what I want to be? I think I'm problematically too detail-oriented.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's really interesting because for me, I see you as big picture and then the detail comes later.
No, it's the opposite.
Wow, how interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Next question or next statement. Running a company or sitting in a cabin writing your magnus opus?
Magnus opus, 100%.
100%, huh? I keep waiting for that book to appear.
So do I. Where is it?
Next one. Frenetic pace or slow and easy?
Frenetic.
Yeah, that's you, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't know how to do it
the other way. I don't see you any other way.
No, I try.
But there will be a point where it will be slow and easy, and you'll lean into it, and you'll enjoy it, and it will be.
Yeah.
There's a place and a time for that.
No, I know, and there's a specific hut on an island of the east coast of Kenya that I have my eye on to sit and be
Nice.
slow and write my magnus opus.
How lovely. Oh, nice. Without phones, without distractions.
Yeah, look, I'll show you something. So this is a ring that this thumb ring, I wear it. I got it from there, and I wear this ring to constantly remind me that this is my actual real target, to get back to that hut with my laptop and write that book.
Amazing.
I don't know where my kids are. I don't know where my kids are.
It doesn't matter. That the fantasy doesn't include all that. So, Amy, tell me, is there an idea for a book?
No.
No. Okay, that's fine. We go to Kenya and we find our idea, right?
I know.
Okay. Favorite activity?
Reading.
Least favorite activity?
Oh gosh. Least favorite activity? Anything administrative unravels me. Unravels me. Like, if my husband is away and I cannot switch on the Netflix, I will stare at a blank screen for 2 hours, and lose my mind. Anything like that.
Yeah.
It just gives me, give me the weight of the world. Give me huge problems to solve, like real things. And I'm flying. I'm like, don't worry, I got this. You give me like little administrative, like, like the card in the airport that you still have to fill out when you land in order to go through. I have never filled it out. I have never, and not because I'm trying to, I can't bring myself to fill out that card. So if I'm traveling alone, I have a range of excuses I use at the thing. I go, oh, malish, ida what? Or I'll pretend to be totally like, oh, ida, I didn't realize, just because there's something where I just, khalas.
You block.
I can't.
Block.
I block. I can't do it.
It's probably just because you're dealing with so much, you cannot deal with all that as well, right? Your brain just says, no, stop.
Yes. Yeah, and it drives my husband to distraction because he's like, how do you not know how to do this? And he thinks I'm making it up. I'm like, wallahi, I don't know. I can't figure out how to open this door. I swear to God.
That's really funny. That's really, really funny. Last two statements. I'm going to read the beginning of a sentence and you're going to finish it. Okay, two of them. I have a hard time.
What a good one. I have a really hard time understanding people who don't take pride in their work, whatever it is.
That's a great one, Amy, actually, because there's so much of that around us, right? Yeah. Well, it's another word for saying that you don't support, you cannot deal with mediocrity, right?
Or care about it. Not everyone has to be amazing, but give a shit.
Absolutely.
I find it very hard I really find it hard to understand or respect people who don't give a shit. And by the way, it was one of the biggest problems over this decade of Mo4. I had to just understand that there's different people for different tasks, for different roles, and not everyone has to give the most shits. But there's always a part of me, however much I've learned to become a better and more empathetic leader, there's always a part of me that's going, why are you getting... So don't do this. Do something else that you give a shit about.
I agree. I find that extremely frustrating, Yani, and I see so much of it around me in every walk of life. And, people just want to get by with the least amount of shits, right? They just want to do what they need just to get by. And it bothers me so intensely. And it sort of seems to explain our whole standing in the world, where we are. I mean, it really, really bothers me.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if it's an Egypt thing. I just think it's a human thing. I
see it more here than elsewhere.
Maybe.
I see it much more here
than
elsewhere.
Whatever it is, commit. If you're going to go and you've decided to you're going to go and live in Guna and be a kite surfer, just don't, I commit.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. Last one, and this is a fun one. I get joy from
proving people wrong.
Nice. That wasn't what I was expecting.
I know.
Nice
I don't know. I think it's a problem or a trauma that I need to work on. Again, someone called me out on that the other day. They're like, that cannot be, that's not a way to live.
So we're done. That's it.
Thank you for making me do this.
After multiple cancellations.
I know. I'm sorry.
It was great. If you haven't already done so, you can catch my Encore conversations with Omar Samra, Nada Dibs, Ahmed Elfi, and Nadine Kanso. They're all in your podcast app, and you can also watch them on YouTube. We have other Encore episodes coming up later in the year. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Malak Fuad, and the show is produced by Chirag Desai. You can connect with us on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and on X. Remember, we'd love to get your feedback, so please reach out on any of the platforms. I'll be back again next week with a new guest. I hope you can join me then.